Hi, I'm Kyle with Red Fox Arms. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install encounter sights on your Glock slide. So I'm just starting with a strip slide. There's a lot of videos out there on just how to take a slide off and field strip the gun. So we'll skip that, and if you're putting sights on, I'm going to assume you already know this. So what we've got here is the new sights, supplied thread locker, supplied Allen wrench, supplied little tiny screw. And then I've got a Glock front sight armorer's tool, just a little 3/16 I believe it is, hex, and that's just to remove the OEM front sight screw. Obviously we use an Allen wrench on our screw. I got these little snips here, I'm gonna use scissors, whatever. These are just for cutting the Loctite open, nothing much. I've got a paper towel just so I don't make a mess here, and then I've got my sight pusher. This is what we recommend, just some kind of a sight pusher, not this exact one. This one's okay. We don't want you hitting these with a hammer. Punch and hammer, you can do it at your own risk, but we get good results with the sight pusher. And then I've got a wrench for that pusher, and then from there, this is a little more specialty, but I've got a depth mic. I'll probably make a video a little later on how to read a depth mic, but all we're using this for in this case is to center our rear sight and maybe our front sight if it's a looser fit. Sometimes they press in, sometimes they're a little sloppy. And it doesn't matter, you have a screw holding it in, and the Loctite does a good job of holding it in. So this is just kind of a mechanical zero. You can measure the sides and make sure they're the same on both sides. Make sure that sight's right in the middle of the slide. And then from there, I've got just a file out of the garage. And it's pretty coarse, and hopefully won't need to do too much. I've got a finer itty bitty file. I've got some sandpaper, and I got a block here just because this is a plastic table, so I don't have a hard surface to sand on if I have to. Probably not going to go to this. Maybe, but probably not. I'd be fairly surprised. So, all right, that's everything on the table. So let's just get after it. And I'm going to try and do this without cutting the video at all, because I want to show you guys that this takes a little bit of time, and it's not something you want to rush. This isn't a drive-by sight install. You want to take your time on this. The more time you take and the better job you do, well, the better off you are. So every sight pusher is different. This one, it's okay. You see that's a bit annoying for me, but we'll just start by pushing our rear out, just because I'm already holding the pusher. No particular reason. So let me get this set up in there and I'll show it to you. Alright, we'll go to the hand cam here, and that's what this is if you're wondering. So that's about how I have it set up. So it's going to push on the old sight. Grab our wrench. Figure out which way it needs to go. So it needs to go righty-tighty. And these stock Glock sights, these little plastic guys come right out. That's not a big deal at all. Like, it's cake. So if you're intimidated already, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I sometimes just like in a hurry for somebody. Like if they had a problem and I had to get a sight off, an OEM sight off, I just banged it off the table or my tailgate or something. Just leaning against the tailgate and push on it, and it came out once. I can't remember why that was, but somebody had an issue where they needed something else done. Alright, so that's off of there. Easy. Next, that little bitty screw down in there. That's what this is for. Get on there. It's real, the head of the screw is really thin, and that's the hard part of this. But got it, no big deal. So there's that, and there's the old one. All right, so now what we'll do, we're gonna wipe everything down around the sides, not the whole thing. You don't need to clean your gun right now, but you could, I suppose. We just want to make sure the dovetail and that slot where the front sight goes is oil free. So we're just gonna go ahead and get in there, clean that out. All right. I like to do the rear sight first because I can aid you if that front sight is sloppy, which I could just check right here. It's not a bad fit. It's a little loose. It's not bad. That's actually decent. It's a little tight. Huh? All right. It's not too bad. So, again, start with the rear. And Glock dovetails, they're kind of X-shaped. So they're tightest in the middle. It doesn't matter what side you start or end on, either on the way out or the way in. So, you can jump right in. So, if you look at the side of the sight, this is the viewing face. So you want to make sure you put them in the right way. You don't want them... This is wrong. And this is right. Now that went far easier than I was expecting. I'll kind of do a little hand fitting here to show you how to do it, but I'm really surprised. I didn't measure this and pick this out or anything, but yeah, I'm surprised at how easy that just slid halfway in. That's realistically kind of what you want, is to slide in about like that. So that's what you're after. Doesn't have to be that good. These are made out of 303. They're quite a bit softer than most other sights. And I'll let you press them in and have a tighter fit, but you have to be careful because it's real thin where that V is down there for the rear notch. And you can bend them up, and I did it once, so you just gotta be careful. So, man, I'm not even gonna file that, to be honest with you guys. That's going right in. So, dropped it. Durability test. So what you would do if you ran into a problem is you could, let's do a little bit, lay the dovetail flat in a file and work at it a little bit. And you can see the high spots are coming off. I'd be really careful because I don't want to take too much off. This thing fit perfect. But some guns have a looser dovetail. Same for that slot for the front sight. Some are looser, some are tighter. Other thing you could do if this doesn't fit correctly, and you don't want to do too much on the bottom, because what you have to make sure of is that there's still a slight gap between the bottom of the sight here and the top of the slide. You don't want it, otherwise you're going to push this part of the sight against the side of the slide and it's just going to be a mess. You're going to ruin the sight, and it's pretty much ruined at that point already if you go that far. But you could save it, I guess, theoretically, if you went like this. Other thing you can do is get up on the edge of the dovetail, get the file level with the dovetail on that angle, and just kind of work at it a little. And this is going to take some patience. This is probably the first one I've done that doesn't take me at least 30 minutes. So that's not because I'm talking or anything, that's just because I'm going at it and having to file at it. We don't have a set screw, so obviously the fit is critical. So having a good snug fit, not a bad thing at all. So we have it on the right way. In this case, I got to put it over here and back off my pusher. If you're worried about scratching it, you can put masking tape on both the sight and the jaw, the moving jaw on the pusher, but I don't care. I probably have to go out and redo another durability test video, so it's going to get thrown again anyway. If you haven't seen the first durability test video, you should check it out. Maybe that's the reason you bought these, I don't know. Alright, so I've got it chucked up in there. So, important thing here, if you can see that, is you want to be pushing on the dovetail as much as you can. You don't want to be up here. If you're up here, what can happen is you'll basically bend the sight a little bit. Not that it won't function, but you could crack the glue that's holding the filament as a failsafe, or you'll just break the filament altogether. So don't want to crank on it. If you crank on it too hard, if it's really tight right now, you'll see this corner will bend up. So that's something to watch out for as well. So now we've got it chucked up. Go ahead, tighten it down. That's flying in there. I almost don't want it. It's too easy. So what you'll do is you'll eyeball the center line here. And this is what most gun shops will leave it at, is eyeballing your center line. I had a guy actually tell me once, oh, it doesn't matter on a pistol. So back it off a little, and then here's where the depth mic comes in. So there you go. So depth mic. You get up on the side of the slide. Back it off a little. And you'll measure to the edge on this side. I got about 130. Rotate it. The same on the other side. And I got 125. That's very close for eyeball, but it will show up. 5 thou is about 1 inch in point of impact at 25 yards. So one thing to keep in mind is this is a perfectly flat surface block, and you probably won't be able to see it, but Glock slides have a little bit of a bow to them. This one's not too bad. There it is. You won't be able to see on the camera, but I can see daylight under that, right in the middle around the chamber area. So because of that, you don't know which way, it's gonna, your front sight's naturally gonna be off to the left or the right. So figure out which way we need to go here, if I talk too much. And then, now I got 128 that time. .26. All right, we need to push it to the left. So juggling the pusher around, we need to push it to the left. Can't really show you what's going on here because it's hard enough to juggle it. Chucked it up again. A tight spot there. Okay. Now, how far this moves for how much you move your wrench, because of a little thing called stiction, is gonna vary depending on how tight your dovetail is. So this one being kind of loose, it's not gonna take much. That might be too far. It's really not gonna take much on something that's already this kind of loose. If you get a tight dovetail, you're gonna be giving it a little bit, going, did it move? And it'll be no. So again though, you wanna hand fit it to where it at least starts a quarter of the way or so. Yeah, that's too far. So I got 137. $119. That's an odd number. So make sure that's correct. 119. So we gotta push it back to the right. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, no big deal. Like I said, this takes some time, even though we didn't have to do any filing or anything. Honestly, I mean, if you got a tight dovetail, I wouldn't be worrying because that's added durability in my opinion. Because if you drop it, it ain't going anywhere. This one, it's kind of loose. If I caught at the right angle, it might actually slip a little bit. but I could always green Loctite that in once I actually verified my 0 on the flat range. 131. $124. All right. So we're gonna go back to the right a little more. And this is how this game goes. You're gonna be at it a little bit if you want to get it right. Within 2,000s is my rule of thumb, and right now we're about 4. And this is stuff, like I said, the gun shop's not gonna do this kind of detail for you. So if you're serious, you may want to consider getting this a Harbor Freight. This is not a Harbor Freight depth mic, this is a Stereo, but a Harbor Freight depth mic will work okay. You could, in a pinch, use a dial caliper or a digital caliper. I don't like to, but that's just me. I feel like you'd have a hard time even getting within 5 with one of those. Okay. 114. So the game of tug of war is going to continue, it looks like. Yep, 140. So we're going to the left now. And once I get this right and get a good verified 0, I'll Loctite this in. Okay, we're going to the left, it looks like. I forgot what I said already, but just eyeball looks like the left. No, it doesn't. Looks like the right. And that's the problem with eyeballing it, is there's some visual things where look at it one way, it looks like it's off that way. You look at it a different way, like using the radiuses of the slide, looks like it's off the other way. But this is the time-consuming part, is getting the dovetails right. If you had something like a Smith & Wesson or a SIG, you gotta do this twice. All right, let's see what that gets us. $115. I'm gonna push it as far as I thought. 140. All right, so we are off by exactly 25 thou. Like I said, not going to cut this one, just need to demonstrate. I saw that move, hope it wasn't too far. Demonstrate the how tedious you got to be about doing this. It's 135. This is 120. So we're off 15, we got to go to the right. And the guy at the gun shop, and I had this happen, like I said, he would never see this. He would never be working this hard at it. That's why I encourage you to do it yourself. It's not that difficult. And you're really going to get out of it what you put into it. Oh, I think we're on. That's 128. 127.5. So that is as good as it gets. All right. So I'm going to move these tools out of the way, because now we're onto our front. Wipe it down. Everything needs to be clean. All right. So that guy dropped right in, and I think most of these are gonna just, at least this first run. Second run, we might tighten them up a little bit, but you wanna make sure they fit your gun. You're not sitting here just squeezing onto the C-clamp or something. So you can see, it came out by accident right there. It's got a little wiggle to it, not a big deal. So you gotta do, flip her over. Don't let the sight fall out. Go over to our Loctite. Well, it's not actually Loctite, it's 3M Scotch Weld. cut that guy open. Try not to make too big a mess at it. You get the whole tube, and yeah, put the cap back on at the end to save it. You might be able to sneak it in the dovetail edges. I'll probably do it on camera here, just because I'm pretty confident in my zero, and the way I'm showing you, you're gonna be so close every time if you do it this way. Other guys just kind of hammer them in there and look at it and say, oh, I'll adjust it later. The first time I carry this will be tomorrow, and yeah, something could happen tomorrow. So you never know. So a little bit of Loctite in the screw. I mean, it's literally gonna take a drop. I keep calling it Loctite, but it's Scotch weld. Use your Allen wrench to get a hold of it. It's a hair. Make sure I get some on there. All right, so this part's fun. We're gonna roll a slide over and try to catch that sight and keep it in there. Okay, stand it up, kind of get it above you. I'm gonna try and stay within the frame of the camera here so you can go up so your screws don't fall out of your Allen wrench. Go up, find the opening, and you start threading it in. So you tighten it to where you can kind of just wiggle it, barely. Now you're gonna use your depth mic, and you can eyeball this straight. That's what the gun shop's gonna do, but we've come this far to do precisely. Might as well finish it off. So you'll want to do this on the back end of the sight, because the pivot area is the front of the sight. So depth mic. Try to do without moving it, which is difficult. I'm gonna tighten that up a little more. I saw it move. Don't try to use the short end of your Allen wrench. It just won't happen. If you strip one of these, you're gonna have a bad time. Tighten it up a hair as I'm cranking on it. But all right, let's do it again. .404. This will be about 25 off. 436. So we need to push it to the left by about 15. So this is where I can kind of use my depth mic as a press a little bit. 405. I want to go 5, 10, 15. There's a little bit of debris sitting on it right now. Okay. And then without, I want to measure it without moving it. Okay. So we're off by 9, which means I need to push it about 4. This is not hard, but it takes a little time. And I'm getting 417 on this side. Like I said, you're going to get in or get out what you put in. The 408. That seems wrong. 430. It could just be that far off. Yep, the depth mic's not moving it. So in this instance, my depth mic didn't move it. So that's why I kept having issues. 418. So I kind of moved it and eyeballed it straight, and we'll see how close I got. 426. I need to push the back end toward the left. Okay. I just used my fingernail and kind of put pressure on my finger so it would swell, and that's what pushed it over. This is a finesse game, so if you want to get your big wrench out and do this, you shouldn't do it. 425. So I think we're going to be really close now, but I could be completely wrong. 419. Let's kind of use my depth mic a little bit to give it a tap. Just kind of cranked on it. So now I got 422. 421.5. Okay. So I'm going to give her a little more, make sure she's good and tight. You don't want to overdo it. Give it a little bump. I'll double check this and make sure I didn't torque it one way or the other. And I did. So we'll have to do it again. So I pushed it over about 5 thou, which gave me a difference of 10. 429 versus 420. 425. 422. 20. All right, so that's within 2 thou now at the rear each way. So now this part's important. Leave it sit for 24 hours. Put it in the safe. Don't assemble it. Don't even hit it. Let it sit for 24 hours. Let that thread locker set up. So that's how that is. That's straightforward. It's not something to be rushed. And you're going to get out of it what you put in. I say that. We should get a little counter here. How many times I've said that, because it's very true. So I'm going to cap my thread locker. And I'll take my old sight. Put the screw back in it. Take my old sights, my Allen wrench, my leftover thread locker. Throw these in the bag that the new sight came in. And just in case I ever need them again, I'll know what they're at, what they are, and where they're at, and they're labeled because they're in the new bag. And that's it. So, do you see what it looks like? I haven't even looked down it yet. So if you look what it would look like if you were shooting at me. There's a delay here. So that's what it looked like if you were shooting at me. All right. So I know that was a little long, a bit long-winded. Even though I didn't have to fit that rear sight, but however many times I've said this, you get out of this what you put into it. If you want to shoot nice tight little groups and you don't want to be like left, right, you got to make sure these are in the middle. And I want to encourage you guys to do this. The first time I ever bought a set of aftermarket sights years ago, took them to a gun shop, drove 30 minutes, like out of town, to find a gun shop that'll do it. And the guy had bought a sight pusher, and he didn't read the instructions at all. He didn't use a supplied thread locker that came with them. He just cranked them in there, came out, oh man, they were tight, but I got them in there, like he just won a contest. And sure enough, middle of class, my sight starts drifting off to the right. The set screw had gone down, because it was a Smith & Wesson, into the plunger hole, which battered it and bent it in the plunger hole. So I had a real good time getting that out, and had to like retap the sight and find a new set screw to put in there, and then do it myself right anyway, after I already paid a guy like 30 bucks to do it. So that's roughly what a gun shop would charge for you to do it, is about 30 bucks. This is about 25 bucks on Harbor Freight. This one was about 35, but I think I've seen them as low as 15, and you don't need a crazy one. Depends on how many of these you want to do. If you bought like 3 sets of sights, or you have buddies who shoot, you know, 35 bucks isn't bad. And there's other ones. I think Brownells has one that looks honestly pretty cool. Do your research, you know, and find one you like and you can afford. I bought this one strictly because it was made in the USA, and it's okay. The Brownells one I don't think was out yet. It may have been, I didn't know, but so this though will save you a lot of time and wondering why you're not shooting so good. You can pretty much bet the sights are going to be on out of the box if you use one of these. And like I said, let it sit for 24 hours for that Loctite to set up. I will show you, like I said, real quick. This stuff's real thin, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of drip it in. Have to squeeze the bottle a little. Leave it on its side for a second. It's gonna get up under the slide, or above the slide and under the sight. Just give it a sec, and then I'll just dab that off. You can do this later with like green or even red if you're really confident. But because we make sights, I have to take sights off all the time. So I don't want red, because these might be coming off if we develop something new. This Glock 17 is our test gun, so let's give it a second to drip in there. Dab it on out. All right. Let her sit for 24 hours. I hope that helps. I'm learning to get better on video. Hopefully I'll get better and be able to help you guys more in the future. But we'll also have some written instructions on the website. And if you're going to a gun shop, I recommend you print those out and you insist they read them. Because I told you my horror story. So a lot of times there's guys who are into guns, and you know, some kid working even if it is full-time, but usually a part-time job, and he bought a sight pusher and thinks he's awesome now, thinks he's a gunsmith, and you don't want that guy just figuring it out and shoving them in there, and you'll end up with one of the corners bent up. So with that, I hope you enjoy your encounters. Minimalist at this time of September 1st, 2020. Hopefully they'll come out by the end of the year. But installation for encounters is the exact same as this. Pretty much anything ours that's for Glock is like this. So you can use this video as a reference no matter what site you bought, and that's what we're going to link you to no matter what you bought. All right, that's it, guys. Hope you guys have a good day.